Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Roger Nunn. I'm the Director General of the Mauritanian British Business Council. Really pleased to welcome everybody to this event, and I'm, delighted to host an event from BP. They're a founder member of the MBBC, and BP's been a great supporter of the organisation since since before we launched, actually, in 2017. So it's always good to do things with BP. And naturally, I'm delighted that they've agreed to give us an update on their major gas project offshore Mauritania and Senegal. It's the big show in town, so it's good to hear how it's going. And I'm particularly delighted, actually, to welcome Emil Ismayilov. Emil is the newly appointed, relatively recently appointed, Senior Vice President for Mauritania and Senegal for BP. Emil was previously BP's Managing Director in Australia. That was his job before he came to this one, from 2018 to 2020. And before that, he's had senior executive posts with BP in Azerbaijan, Georgia, Turkey, North Africa, and the Middle East. So he's been around a bit. The format of today's session is that Emil will give a presentation for, 20-25 minutes. Then we'll throw it open for questions, which I will moderate. So that's the plan. Without further ado, Emil, welcome to the MBBC, welcome to Mauritania, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Roger, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure joining you today at the MBBC event. We'll have 20-25 minutes, and I'll share with you some latest updates on our activities in Mauritania and Senegal. But before going there, first, I also would like to welcome some of my members of the team. I believe I should have Mohammed Limam, who is a VP country for Mauritania, and Ayana is the VP for CNEA for our Africa business, and Sidi Ali, who is the head of external affairs for Mauritania. I also can see Jeff Mace and Alan Edwards, who are our project general managers for GTA project. Before going to the session itself, just wanted to briefly introduce myself. I've actually just moved to UK as a part of the role in December, so I'm calling from Southwest London. So I joined Mauritania Senegal team from Australia, where I had a great experience of leading our gas business in Australia. I've been with BP for over 20 years now. As Roger said, originally I'm from Azerbaijan, as a relatively small country with a proud oil and gas history. In fact, I think we are competing with US on the claim who started industrial production of oil first. And so most of my career I spent in Azerbaijan, but I also worked with the other parts of the world and in North Sea early in my career, but also supported our Middle East, North Africa, and North African businesses as well. So I started the role in January, but I was with the team and transitioning to the role since last July. So it's been a good few months since I was on the role. And to start in January, and as soon as we moved with family to London, I took opportunity to visit Mauritania and Senegal. Had a week in Dakar and then week in Nouakchott, which was fantastic. And I'll share with you some of reflections of that soon as well. But it was a wonderful experience to, frankly, first and foremost, to get to know people and culture and the history of a country, and also see firsthand the progress that we're making on the ground with our project. But before going into sharing our activities on Mauritania and Senegal, I would like to start with talking a little bit about BP's group, our latest change in the vision and strategy. As many of you would be aware, last year we stated our new ambition of achieving net zero and becoming essential net zero company by 2050 or sooner. And also articulated our purpose, which is around reimagining energy for people and the planet. Our ambition is underpinned by 10 aims that you can all see. And the key really to ambition is transitioning the company from being international oil company that focused on extractional resources into integrated energy company that pivots to finding and providing energy solutions to the nations we operate and our customers. So if you look at our strategy, it's based on three main pillars of the activities. These are low carbon, electricity, and energy. In this area, we are undertaking pretty ambitious plans on building our low carbon business, and as well as increasing our footprint in the global energy sector. The next one is the convenience and mobility. We are actively working on fast transition of the mobility for the world through our electric charging stations, as well as increasing our fuel stations around the world. We're also working on changing the whole experience, the driver experience of providing fuel services through our partnerships. Like in UK, we have partnership with Marks and Spencer, and in Australia, we also announced partnership with David Jones, which is a big retailer in Australia. And then last but not least, through resilient and focused hydrocarbons. The hydrocarbons will be the key part of our business for the years to come. And our main aim on resilient and focused hydrocarbons is to shape competitive hydrocarbon business that is focused on the basins that we think has the most attractive economic returns and fit into our strategic direction. So if we go a bit into a low carbon electricity and energy part of a business that Mauritania and Senegal is part of, and in global low carbon and energy business, first of all, it's a big part of the BP's organization. We have more than 17,000 people working in low carbon and energy, gas and low carbon business. And you can see the main pillars of a business. We've undertaken a very ambitious growth in the wind energy. You might have seen some announcements recently of us entering in partnership with Equinor in the US wind energy, but also some successful transactions with the UK energy business. So it's a fast growing sector for us, the wind energy. We continue our growth in biofuels through BP Bunge, a company that primarily focuses on Brazil. And we also working on broader carbon solutions through Net Zero Teesside project over in UK. Along with the low carbon part of a business, the gas remains and will continue remaining the key part of our activities. And whether these are the LNG businesses that we have in Trinidad and Indonesia, or the big gas projects in North Africa with West Nile Delta, or Oman, Kazan, the gas will continue being the key part of our transition, and also be core product that we will be supplying to the market for the decades to come. In that respect, Mauritania Senegal has a very special place in our strategy and in our forward plans. Our Mauritania Senegal strategy, if I would describe, based on two main pillars, which is developing a competitive LNG business, and GTA and GTA Phase 1 is the key part of that strategy, along with the further growth of LNG through the Phase 2 optimization that we're undertaking right now. But along with that, we are also working on low carbon opportunities and energy solutions for both nations of Senegal and Mauritania. And And the opportunity is immense in both countries, and we are in close discussions with the government around gas to power solutions, and equally the renewable opportunities in both countries. So if we go back to the Mauritania and Senegal, as I said, I had a chance to visit the country, the Mauritania and Senegal earlier in January, and it's really stunning to see the progress that we're making on the ground. But before going through that details, when you look at GTA Phase 1, obviously, as many projects around the world, Phase 1 has also had an negative impact of the COVID, but we have managed our activities through COVID and persevering and pursuing with the project. We will provide some further details of the project in our subsequent session. I believe we have a session for members only after our discussion, and they will provide more detail about the project. But I would say at the moment, we are building the project across multiple continents and countries. Back in the yards in China, we are in construction and fabrication of our FPSO business. And in Indonesia, we are in construction with our hub activities. In Singapore, we are working on our floating liquefied part of the project. And in that chain, the activities in Senegal and Mauritania have their special place. I had the chance to visit Dakar, and you can see on one of the photos on the top left side, and see our construction site in Dakar, where we are currently fabricating caissons. We are going to fabricate 21 caissons, each 16,000 ton. It's a pretty massive piece of infrastructure. And at the moment, we have 4 caissons fabrication complete, and we're working on the 5th one. So that's one of the critical path activities for our project. And then in Mauritania, we are in the process of extraction, transportation of the rocks to the Nouakchott port. And then we're also now taking the rocks offshore that will create the basin for the breakaway project. Having been in Nouakchott, I had a great opportunity to meet with our key stakeholders and with the Minister of Energy, His Excellency Mohamed Saleh, and also with our partners like SMHPM. In fact, on Monday, I met with the minister, and he was asking me about the plans for the week. So I stayed in Mauritania full week, and I said I'm very keen to go and visit our site and see how 1 million tons of rock look in one place, which was actually a very impressive sight. And the minister said, "Well, I'll join you for the visit, so let's go together." And that just showed the great commitment of the country to the project. And the minister, I think, adjusted his busy schedule and joined us on the visit of the site, which I said is the work done by Eiffage and all our contractors on the site is really impressive. So the great progress with the project. 2021, 2022 will be key years for delivery of GTA Phase 1. But we are pushing ahead, and we are moving the project forward, and I have great belief and confidence on delivery and the team driving delivery. As we're building the project, one of our key focus area while on construction, but actually as we go to the next phase of our activities, is around local content. I'll touch a little bit around local content, and this is an area that is very close to me, to my heart, having been from Azerbaijan, and I'm seeing how the BP and our industry can make a real impact on local economies and the people's lives. It's something that is very core to our activities in Mauritania and Senegal, and it's frankly is very core to my beliefs, and I think it's the best representation of force for good that our industry can be in around the world. So our local content focuses on three main pillars. When I look at supply chain, the key focus for us is to building the local competitive supply chain business that continue support us both through the phase of project, but also the subsequent phase of production. The rocks that I mentioned is a great example of this local content. We have employed over 1,000 people, the national Mauritanian nationals, at activity of extraction and transporting the rocks. We had 5 local contractors who manage the transportation of rocks, and we have now over 1 million tons of rocks has been extracted and transported to the port. Great achievement by the team. Another million to go, as our target is 2 million tons, but fantastic work and a great example of the ability of the local companies to step up and support us in this pretty high scale undertakings. When it comes to people and national development, during the visit, I had a chance to visit our interactive training center that we are building in Nouakchott. It's very impressive site, actually. We've used our Sunbury training center as the basis of the design in construction on Nouakchott Training Center, and had the chance to visit the site, and I'm hoping we will be opening it very soon. It's equipped with latest technologies and will allow both virtual and in school training at this site, and I'm really hopeful it will give a positive impact on further developing of the national talent in country, both our workforce as BP, but also a broader talent that works for the ministry and our partners. Along with National Training Center, I also had the chance to engage with our national technicians, albeit virtually. It was great to connect with our national technicians, both in Senegal and Mauritania. And the one thing that strikes you is the wealth of talent in that audience when you connect. We've gone through some highly competitive process, actually, as we sourced the talent for our technician program. We had about 100 applicants per role, which shows a great opportunity in terms of the talent opportunity that we can tap in and access. And so those selected individuals, the group, we've gone through the English language training, and now we are going through the next phase of the development and training of our national technicians. We aim to provide exposure to the broader, more global BP's activities, and hopefully, with COVID permitting, taking our technicians cohorts to our sites around the world and give them some experience before the start of first gas on GTA. Fantastic program, and it's something that we're keen to continue. And it's great. It's a great. You can see the great pride when you talk with those individuals to work for the flagship project for their nations. So some great examples of the talent development. And the last but not least, the pillar is the social projects that we're doing with communities that we're closely working with. Unfortunately, in this trip, I didn't have a chance to visit Indiago or St. Louis in Senegal, but I'm very much looking forward to visit. And Sidi Ali, who is on the call, promised to take me to Indiago, which I'm very much looking forward to. Indiago is one of the key towns that is close to our activities, and we're actively working on making positive impact to community of Indiago. And what became apparent through our environmental impact assessment and our activities on the project is the need and lack of access to the clean water. So we're undertaking project of providing the clean water for over 4,000 people. And we're doing it at the back of the solar energy power. So it's a clean water, backed by the clean energy. It's a fantastic project, and a big thanks to our community team and for leading this effort. And again, I hope it shows our commitment to both our communities and to the country and the nation. I'll probably pause here. I'll say that we do have a very exciting business that we're building on. I see the phase one as the key building block that will allow us to further grow the business on LNG, but also on the domestic gas. And I didn't have a chance to touch on that, but we are looking at opportunities to provide some gas to power solutions. And when you look at both countries, the access to power and how expensive it is, and the lack of access to power is really big issue. And hope that through GTA and some other activities and other projects, we will be able to bring some solutions to the power as well. I'm going to pass on, Roger, back to you, and thank you for your time and attention.
No, thanks, Emil. That's perfect. Timing looks good. So we've got time for questions and answers. So if people would like to ask a question, what I suggest is that you please unmute yourself and ask your question with your name and affiliation, and then I'm sure Emil will be happy to answer them for you. So who would like to ask the first question? Well, let me start the ball rolling with one, Emil. You touched on COVID and the impact it's had on the project itself. In the broader context, the company BP is going ahead with the project. How do you see gas markets in general moving, and the place therefore for the volumes of gas that Tortue Ahmeyim will generate or produce?
Thanks, Roger. That's a great question. And as you probably seen, the gas market has been quite volatile. If we look at the very short-term horizon, we've seen some volatility in the gas market over the past 12 months. And if you look what happened with the market, where the prices skyrocketed through the winter, or obviously the big cold snap in Texas that also saw the energy prices as well as gas prices. It's fair to say that the gas market does remain volatile. When we look at the medium to long-term horizon, we believe that demand for the gas will continue to grow as gas we think will play the key role as a transition fuel, and will be a strong partner to renewable, to provide that reliable source of energy and power to the markets. I think the Asia market will remain strong as a buyer of the gas. I mean, having worked in Australia and having visited Japan and closely worked with our partners in China, I think those markets will remain strong as a buyer of the gas. But equally, one would say that there are growing sources of the gas in LNG markets. We've seen Qatar undertaking very ambitious growth, and Australia is now, I think, the world first, the biggest gas producer of the world, LNG producer of the world. So the supply and demand probably will go through some level of volatility, and we probably will go for periods of undersupply and oversupply. But the impact of COVID, I think there was some impact on the sanctioning of the project. Frankly, there's been some slowdown with the projects as well. So whether we will see a lack of the gas coming to the market in the midterm horizon, I think that's quite possible. But on the longer term, we believe the LNG will be prime placed as a source of the fuel for energy and electricity. So the big challenge for Mauritania and Senegal is to remain that competitiveness. So there is abundance of gas in the world, and ultimately, if you want to compete in this market, you have to compete with the primary sources of gas, which is US onshore and Qatar. And we believe the GTA can provide the foundation to be competitive in that space, but frankly, Roger, it's not granted. So we need further work on that to improve competitiveness of GTA. So I hope I kind of managed to answer somewhat to the question.
Yes, you did indeed. Thank you for that. We've had a question that's been posted on the chat from Francois at Wärtsilä. I think probably the easiest thing is if I just read it out to you, Emil. As an investor in power generation, we'd be keen to understand the involvement of BP in gas to power. Is BP willing to investigate the various technical solutions incorporating renewables and gas, and also willing to invest in the whole chain? That's a question from Wärtsilä.
Yeah, thank you, Francois. I mean, thank you for the question. I presume the question is in the context of Mauritania and Senegal business, because around the world we are actively working on what we call integrated solutions and partnering our renewable businesses and the gas businesses to provide both integrated power solutions to the markets. We also have a unit called the IGP, which is Integrated Gas and Power Solutions. And the role of that organization unit is to find those integrated opportunities for those integrated solutions around the world. When I look at in Mauritania and Senegal, the key areas that we are currently looking at and pursuing, first of all, on the GTA project, we have some domestic gas opportunity for domestic gas in phase 1, and we are working with both governments on turning it into reality. I think there is a great potential for the gas powered energy in both countries. Along with the GTA phase 1, though, I mean, when I look at the volume of GTA phase 1, it's not probably at the scale that we can fully meet the power needs, energy needs. We're also working in Senegal. We're working on Yakar Teranga project that can provide, we think is a big scale domestic gas to power solutions for Senegal and potentially for broader West Africa. So opportunities are there. I also had a good discussion with the energy minister in Mauritania, how we can bring some renewables, and we have some thoughts, ideas on how we can bring renewables into that energy mix in both countries. It's a bit early days to go into details, but would be very happy to follow on, Francois, and have some further discussion on if there are any opportunities that we can collaborate.
Thank you, Emil. Questions are starting to come in on the chat now. Here's one from Craig at Protection Vessels International. Given the need for vessels to support the offshore work, how will BP's local content initiatives support the maritime sector, and what can we as the private sector do to support BP?
Thank you again. Great question. I'm gonna look for some help in this or from Jeff and Alan because obviously we are actively working with our both countries with Marine on sourcing the vessels to support our project activities, and maybe we can use that as a basis. Now, Alan or Jeff, can you help me with the question?
I can take a start, Emil, on that if you like, from the subsea scope. So good afternoon, everyone. Alan Edwards, I'm the General Manager for the subsea scope on the project, portion of the project. So the contracting strategy we have is for McDermott as the EPCI contractor to be responsible for the provision and supply of vessels for the offshore construction campaign. They have been tendering on various vessels, support vessels, and those tenders have been issued out to the market. The key activities that are really remaining our selection for our onshore support base to support those offshore construction vessels. And that's something that I'll be talking about in the next session, actually, and giving more details about in the follow-up session. But today, the support areas that we see are particularly around the services associated with a marine base and the logistics support there.
Perfect. Thank you, Alan.
Thanks, Alan. That's great. We've now got a question from Richard at the University of Manchester. What is the GTA development CO2 footprint, and does BP have plans to mitigate this?
I think if I look at the other projects, LNG projects around the globe, I would say the GTA probably will stand as a more competitive from carbon emission footprint perspective, more competitive project. Obviously, it still has a carbon footprint through liquefaction process and transportation of the gas, and it's something that we're obviously very much aware. And the carbon management unit is one of the key part of my organization in Mauritania and Senegal, and we are actively working on carbon reduction and carbon mitigation activities, both from our ongoing activities and operations on how we can minimize carbon emission in our day-to-day activities and operations. But also we are looking at as we grow the LNG business, are there less carbon intensive solutions that we can bring? You know, the big element of the carbon emission, for instance, is the source of power for our activities around the hub and liquefaction. So one of the areas we will be actively looking at is where opportunities to reduce carbon intensity by potentially maybe bringing the external power source and see how we can make it less carbon intensive. It is early days, obviously, more work needs to be done, but it's very much the key part of our thinking on how we can manage carbon intensity of the project. Obviously, very challenging, and as you know, as many LNG projects, having been in Australia, I've seen it firsthand, the challenges of the reduction of the carbon footprint of LNG. But there are areas, I think there are areas that I'm positive that we'll find some solutions and improve on carbon intensity.
Thank you, Emil. The next one is from Diego at Hades Consulting. This is about mobility and permits. Very effective efforts were made to provide a clear and efficient tax and customs environment for GTA, or for the GTA subcontractors, I should say. But in terms of the mobility environment, so work permits, visas, etc., that doesn't seem to have followed up in the same way. So is this something that's currently under study to look at how the process for work permitting and visas can be smoothed? Yes.
No, thank you for the question, and I guess the feedback and the comments. So I'll definitely take it on board. I think Mohammed Limam, who is our VP country for Mauritania, should be on the call. So what I'll take this feedback away and follow up to work with the government to see how we can ease in our processes for mobility for our contractors. It's obviously a key part to make sure that we can bring access to our contractors to the country. So I'll take the feedback on and then follow up on that with Mohammed.
Thanks, Emil. One from Jonathan at the University of Manchester. Can we have some more details on the training centre that's been established? How large is it? Could it be used for holding workshops, seminars in the future on geoscience and engineering? The point's made that they held a similar workshop in Senegal a few years ago, and wonder if this facility would allow the same to be done in Mauritania.
Yeah, no, thank you, Jonathan, for the question. Yeah, I mean, if I look at the facility, I think my sense, having been and toured through it and walked through the facilities, I think it should be big enough to hold the seminars. Particularly some of the rooms we have are quite modular, where we can remove the the partition walls and expand the size of the auditorium, and that can allow us for the bigger audience in that room. It's also pretty well equipped, actually, when you look at the screen sizes and capacities and the audio support in the room. So I have to say it's pretty impressive site. I don't know if you had the chance to visit our facility in Sunbury, but we're hosting workshops or seminars or sessions for 20 plus audiences in our Sunbury Sunbury rooms in our Sunbury site. I think this training center should be able to host I don't know exact numbers, and maybe Ayana can help me on the call, but I can see how you can fit 20 people, if not more, into a single session. And we also have smaller rooms there where you can do more individual type sessions with a group of 3, 4, 5 people. And in fact, actually very focused training sessions for 3, 4 individuals in a small classroom with the individual screen. So it's quite versatile site, actually. Ayana, anything you would add to what I discussed?
No, that was actually spot on. So when you visited the center, clearly you took notes, Emil. Yeah, the largest part of the room seats about 20. And then as Emil said, it has the smaller breakout rooms. And one of the things we want to do is make sure that the center is fully utilized. So in addition to the big trainings, we will be looking for opportunities to do workshops and other things as well. And there will be a training center coordinator that will be hopefully appointed pretty soon. And as part of this, we will help to train that person in a similar fashion as we do with our centers in Houston and Sunbury, so that it can be well maximized.
Thank you, Ayana. We will actually, and sorry, Roger, maybe very quickly, we will actually provide continued support for a year after handing over the facility as a BP. We will continue providing support to make sure that the center is looked after and maintained and managed, and also provide any technical support, to the site.
Super, thank you, Emil and Ayana. The next one is from John Ryder of Weatherford, who wants to ask his question himself. So, John, can you unmute yourself and pop your question?
Yeah, hi, Roger. I was just kind of looking for a little bit more clarity in terms of, I know, obviously with the delays with the breakwater project, and which had, subsequently resulted in some delays, and just more clarity in terms of some of the upstream well delivery projects when, obviously we're engaged with supply chain, but just trying to get some visibility on when those may happen. So.
Yeah, great. Thank you, John, for the question, and great to see you again. And I hope you're doing well. Yes, no, our wells, obviously we will do pre-drill well campaign on the project, and currently we are working towards the beginning of 2022 to do that well campaign. The process of sourcing rig is well underway, and we are looking at the synergies, considering our geographical proximity of some of our assets. So we will be looking at the synergies between North Africa businesses, Angola businesses, and Mauritania Senegal, to see how we can best utilize our crews and rigs and our own core personnel. We very much switched to agile model where essentially our wells organization almost moves with the rig. So as our wells organization busy with some well campaign in Angola at the moment, and I'm in close contact with our wells team, where we will be eventually transitioning, and then Mauritania Senegal will be focus. And my expectation is that, all the works and plans permitting, my expectation is the beginning of 2022.
So those will fall under the enabling VPs.
That's exactly right. That's exactly. So Ange is part of my leadership team. And when activity comes to Mauritania Senegal, obviously Ange and her focus will move to our region.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Emil. Good luck.
Thank you, John. Great to see you.
Good seeing you.
We have a question from Bill Law of the Gulf Matters.
Hello, yeah. Hello, all, and thank you very much. Thank you, Emil, and your colleagues. Really, what I was interested in, you spoke about the competitive challenges for natural gas, but I'm just curious if there's a window of opportunity that may be closing for natural gas, and I'm thinking particularly of green hydrogen and comments from Peter Terrian, who's now taken over as the energy czar at NEOM, which is MBS's artificial intelligence city of the future. He's committing a huge amount of money into it, $500 million at last count. I'm just wondering if natural gas is facing the challenges down the road from green hydrogen, and if so, how that might impact on the GTA project. Thank you. Thanks.
Great to meet you, and thank you for the question. It's a great question. Having been in Australia, obviously green hydrogen is one of the technologies we are looking in in Western Australia. You have plenty of water, you have plenty of sun and the wind. In fact, it's probably one of the rare places in the world where you have all three in one place, and those are the key ingredients you need for the competitive green hydrogen projects. First of all, within that gas and low carbon organization that I'm part of as a leadership team, we do have a dedicated a hydrogen and the carbon solutions unit, and we are actively working on both blue and green hydrogen solutions. I think talking obviously on the green hydrogen, I think blue hydrogen is a very competitive proposition, particularly if we can find a way to partnering it with CCUS and the carbon capturing. I can see how blue hydrogen can provide scope and scale and sustainable solutions and carbon-free solutions, and there are obviously more evolving markets, when you look at Korea and Japan, where I think there is a big bet in those markets to the hydrogen. So I think potential for hydrogen is immense. Is there a timeline that will require to turn hydrogen scalable project at the world level? I suspect there is probably. How long is that timeline? I think I wouldn't even dare to predict. I mean, things are working so fast in the world. Who knows how big breakthroughs will happen? But there are some challenges with hydrogen. Even if you find solutions of producing hydrogen, if you're far away from your consumer market, you also need to have still transportation solution for hydrogen, which in a way you may say there is some parallels with the liquefied gas, where you need to liquefy hydrogen and transport it, which adds to the cost. And I think big challenge to green hydrogen is to break through that competitive cost bracket and really compete in that market share. I think gas and hydrogen have an opportunity to coexist in harmony. In many respects, I could see how hydrogen can become more almost transition fuel for the petrol. As if you can see how hydrogen powered, whether it's the big vessels or the transport or even we talk about airplane powered on hydrogen. So I think there is a great opportunity there. Can gas partner with the blue hydrogen in different parts of the world? I think there is a very distinct possibility of that as well, and it's something that we will be looking as well. And does our project on GTA feel the threat, in terms of the market share and the relevance in the market? I still think that the gas will remain very much in demand and relevant for the decades to come. Obviously, we need to decarbonize our gas production, and we're working on that. But at the moment, if you look at the coal consumption in the world, there is still a big scope of decarbonization through the substitution. Product substitution or fuel substitution. I mean, when I look at the Mauritania and Senegal, both nations at the moment are actually burning heavy oil. I remember early days in Azerbaijan where our electric station, when Soviet Union collapsed, our power stations were based on the heavy oil. I mean, Roger will remember being in Baku those days. You wouldn't want to live next to any of those power plants. The emission is really terrible, and also as a source of energy is really expensive as well. So I think gas does provide that cleaner and affordable power solutions for different, many nations around the world. So, prove all those elements, the increase of the need of power in the world, substitution of the fuel, I think all of them give enough market share for the gas and the hydrogen coexist. We definitely, as a company, we're putting big hopes and bets on the hydrogen growing, and we're actually pursuing multiple pretty material investments in the matter of hydrogen as well. And I hope you will see it in our future growth. But we don't see it either or. We see it more like both and type equation between gas and hydrogen. I hope I managed to answer your question, Bill, but thank you for it.
Well, Emil, that's very interesting. Thank you. And I'd really be interested in getting more information about the blue and green hydrogen project that the BP is engaged in.
Perfect. Yeah, please. Would be happy. I mean, sure, Ayana would be happy to connect with our hydrogen team. Yeah.
Terrific. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Emil. We've got time for one last question. It's a follow-up from Richard Dixon at Manchester University, asking, are there any carbon capture and storage opportunities in Mauritania and Senegal?
No, great question. Thank you, Richard, for a follow-up. And as you rightly point, when you look at the decarbonizing LNG, the big opportunity area is CCUS solutions. So I guess I guess shorter version of the answer, I believe there are some really interesting opportunities for the decarbonization and CCUS in Mauritania and Senegal. They will have their own challenges. These are the challenges that, frankly, we face all over the world in terms of finding the right, whether it's the regulatory fiscal structure that will unlock those big CCUS solutions. Some of the great advantages of the CCUS solutions is that you can expand it from your immediate activities and bring some other sectors of economy that have carbon footprint to have that integrated CCUS solutions. And that could be the opportunity maybe in Mauritania and Senegal, considering, whether it's the mining footprint, whether it's the construction work, and I think there is enough critical mass of the carbon intense sectors and obviously then if you look at the LNG as we're growing the business, I think there is a critical mass that can unlock the CCUS as a solution. It's a little bit early days since we haven't quite gone into operation ourselves, and still early days. We're still working on that. And frankly, big challenge to unlock CCUS will be to have the right regulatory framework and right fiscal framework that will help to unlock it. I mean, if you look at UK, US, where you have more mature developed frameworks, or in Australia, we are working on CCUS solutions with, in fact, with Santos. I think Mauritania and Senegal probably has a way to go and mature the right framework in the country.
Thank you very much, Emil. Thank you for answering those questions. We need to draw this session to a halt now. I'm on behalf of MBBC and all of the members and friends who've joined this first hour. I'd like to thank you, Emil, for the presentation, but also for answering what's a pretty wide range of questions. I guess that's the way the territory lies these days, but you've answered them all with aplomb, and we thank you for that, and we thank you for the insights, not just on BP's Mauritania and Senegal activities, but also on the big picture as well, which of course these days, I think more importantly than ever, is critical context to so much business activity around the world. So thank you very much indeed, much appreciated. Welcome again to Mauritania and the Patch, and I look forward to catching up with you properly whenever we get the chance. But thanks very much, and thank you to everybody for your attendance and participation.
To everyone, thank you for your time. Thank you. Bye-bye.